welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing to the news on top stories. I am Oyi Opala. Let's begin. In a moment that has stirred widespread controversy across Central Africa, neighboring French Cameroun has once again witnessed the swearing-in of its long-time ruler, President Paul Biya, Bivondo, now 93 years old and in power for nearly 5 decades. This event, far from being a unifying national celebration, has been met with skepticism and discontent. While state media portrayed a jubilant ceremony marked by orchestrated displays of loyalty and the ruling CPDM party, the reality on the ground tells a different story. Subdued streets, coerced supporters, and a nation divided by distrust in its democratic institution. Many citizens and observers question the legitimacy of Biya's latest victory, citing electoral irregularities and a political system that appears increasingly detached from the will of the people. As tensions continues to simmer beneath the surface, the atmosphere in Yaoundé reflects a broader crisis of governance and representation. Amidst this backdrop, voices of dissent have grown louder. One of the most prominent is that of General Valsero, a renowned artist and outspoken critic of the regime. In an impassioned Facebook post, Valsero echoed the frustration of countless Cameroonians who feel marginalized and silenced. He went further, calling for the disintegration of a state that believes no longer serves its citizens and expressing newfound sympathy for the people of Southern Cameroon, who have already declared their independence as the nation of Ambazonia. As the world watches these unfolding events, is raising profound questions about the future of French Cameroon, not just that, but about democracy, legitimacy, and the enduring struggle of a people seeking to reclaim their voice. All of these we will delve into tonight on Undaunted. But first, let's get the prime headlines. Tonight on Undaunted, we will head into the story of Fontem-Bakeba Road, a proof of the neglect of the development of Ambazonia by the President Paul Biya's government. 4 French Cameroon armies are reportedly killed in Ambazonia State Army ambush in Bambili yesterday, November 5th, 2025. Tonight, we'll take a look at what Fabrice Lena is condemning. He says it's politically motivated, the detention and the crackdown happening in French Cameroon. Also tonight, Andre Blaise Sama condemns French Cameroon government violence amidst protests of Thursday, November 6, 2025. Drama unfolds at Paul Biya's inauguration. All of this is causing so much chaos, outrage, and protest across French Cameroon. All the Africans seen 17 Southern Africans trapped in Ukraine war after failing and falling victim to fake job scam, while Trump is to skip G20 summit in South Africa, citing concerns over country status. Now, let's get the news info briefings. While French Cameroun is having a 92-year-old president still fight for the seat, his silhouette is left on the southern Cameroons that he let head to a deplorable condition infrastructure-wise. The deplorable state of the Fontem-Bakeba road in Manu County, Ambazonia, has sparked outrage among residents. The road, heavily flooded and impassable, has forced locals to resort to deplorable and desperate measures using motor bombs to bomb out water and clear the way. Ironically, this area reportedly voted 100% in favor of the President Biya, according to the Constitutional Council of the French Cameroun. However, the gesture seems to have yielded little benefit as the community continues to suffer from neglect and underdevelopment. Residents accuse local elites of betrayal, claiming they sent motion of support to President Biya of French Cameroun without securing tangible development projects for their locality. The situation has ignited tensions between the population and their leaders, with many questioning the value of their loyalty. Let's see the video. Well, as the population struggles to access basic amenities, the Fontem-Bakeba road debacle serves as a stark reminder of the Ambazonia's developmental challenges and the need for urgent attention. All right, you can see how bad and deplorable the road is. Well, Barrister Mbesha, you're here. Welcome to tonight's Undaunted.
Yes. Are you getting me?
Bakeba.
Are you getting me?
Oh, your audio is not so clear, but I know you're saying something.
I was saying thank you for having me this evening.
You're welcome to tonight's Undaunted.
Okay, are you getting me now?
Yes, I think it's better now, louder, clearer. Yes, go on, sir.
Okay, I was saying that it's unfortunate that I'm the one to be sitting here and talking about the Fontem-Bakeba road, because that's the area from where I come. You see, that's the greatest misfortune the people ever had, the so-called CPDM. For eternity, that road has never been constructed by the government. It is the people's handwork. People have dug that road with hands. People have dug it with their own, whatever thing they can find. And they had called on the government to come and just put gutters. And they have failed to them. But about the failure this year, at least those are the official figures. I'm sure they voted 150%, not just 100%, because nobody voted there. All the vote manufactured is the issue of the elites. But is it that they are unaware of what is going on there, on that road and in other parts of the BLM? Before this summer, remember a few days ago, weeks, with the road going from Fontem to Chang. That's the same stretch of road. But again, my question is whether this is a coincidence or something deliberately made. The answer is that it's deliberate. Because they have a number of criminals. But a number of criminals, I will not even call them political opponents, who call themselves elites and CPDM supporters, who manufacture those stories just for their own self-existence. None of those people, I can say none, lives in that area. They all live in Yaoundé, Douala, and other urban places. But they storm in there when the opportunity arises. And when they go there, they find nobody. They manufacture pictures and send to Yaoundé. That's exactly what happened. But has God forgotten them? Does God know what is going on? Of course, I can tell you as an insider, for just after this election, they made a trip there, those elites, to forge imaginary figures. And because they wanted to do that, some of them had to go right there. And when they went there and came back, they never survived. They died. They actually died a physical death. Because after venturing on that road, they came back to their destinations, Biya, Kumba, Yaoundé. They could not stand out anymore. They are dead. A few of them, or one of them at least, is still in the mortuary. A few months ago, when they were celebrating the so-called anniversary of the CPDM, one of them, an elite, manufactured CPDM guy, who lives in an urban place, he too ventured to go there to celebrate the CPDM. He went there and came back and died. He didn't make it. He died because of traveling on that bad road. So the case of the BLM, Fontem-Bakeba, is pathetic. It is an incident where God has not forgiven the people. He's not forgotten the people. You see, that stretch of road is not just in Manu. It covers Manu and the BLM. Just 45 miles, 60 kilometers, that's 45 miles. And so that is the story, that is the road everybody can see. And as we speak, I think a few hours ago, I saw them, those elites, some of them, parading in Yaoundé, claiming to inaugurate another reign of Mr. Paul Biya. And of course, the elite who died just before the president was inaugurated put out something which is so interesting. He made an audio where he was telling the people that the best thing they ever had was the CPDM and the BLM. And that the BLM had done the CPDM had done everything for them. They should go vote for the CPDM. He did not survive his own speech and died, essentially because of that bad road. And so that is the story of Ambazonia. I've said this all the time. That is just the tip of the iceberg. What you're showing there, you can replicate it in Diam to Kumba. You can do the same thing from Jikwa to Bamenda or to Mbengui. It's across the board. You can replicate the same thing, not even the same thing, from Mamfe to Akwaye. There's not even a stretch of road there. And so that is what we've had for the past 65 years. That is what Ambazonia is fighting against. Hopefully, we should succeed. That will be a reminder that once went to hell, we're out of it. We'll be our own roots. I've said it many times before. We did not purport to join these people for them to come and dig roads for us. We did not purport to join them for them to come and build schools for us. Because we have our own money. We have our own resources that could have dug all the roads that we needed. But being what they are, they stole the thing with impunity. They tell the lies to the population and to the world at large with impunity. And so that is the road. That is testimony of this 43 years reign of Paul Biya. That's a testimony of the 65 years of so-called unification with the Republic of Cameroun. And so it is pathetic, again. That is just symbolic. That is what you are seeing there. If you took us to any other place in Ambazonia, you'll find the same thing there. And that is what they are showing us in Yaoundé, that Ambazonians, with that similar thing like that, voted overall 80-90% for Paul Biya. Figures don't lie, pictures don't lie, these are the bare facts. God willing, He will bring sanction to these people. He will bring redemption to the fighters and to the ordinary people. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. A whole lot for us to dissect tonight. At least 4 French Cameroon soldiers were killed and several others injured in early mornings of November 5th, 2025 in Bambili, following a deadly ambush by Ambazonian State Army in what marks yet another strategic and tragic escalation of the Ambazonian War. The exact circumstances surrounding the attack remains unclear, but reports indicate that colonial security forces claim to have since secured the area and an investigation is underway to undermine the full details of the incident. Colonial authorities have not yet released the identities of the fallen colonial armies or provided further information about the nature of the incident. The attack highlights the continuing volatility and insecurity in Ambazonia, where clashes between French Cameroon armies and Ambazonian state armies persist despite repeated calls for dialogue. This comes as the non-Nigerian Biya, which has mismanaged the crisis for over 9 years, has been given a continuation after alleged falsified election results from the whole of the Cameroons. Barrister Mbesha, while all of this inauguration and all of that is being planned and is going on, there is still clashes between the Ambazonian State Army and the French Cameroon Army, and order is not being called, and people are just still there struggling to find peace and to find rest. This seems to
Yes, but we must analyze what just happened in Bambili, in the context of where we are now. We're at war for the past 9 years. But what just happened there tells a story. Because was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? We were here. What were we talking about? We were talking about border closure. And we were talking also about what was announced from the federal government, final push. It looks to me, and I think I'm right, that what happened in Bambili falls on all fours to what we describe. Essentially, the first element of it, final push. They are bleeding in Yaoundé. We are pushing them out to survive. We are sending them away one by one from our own territory, dead or alive. And so I take what happened in Bambili with the death of those 4 people as part of the program final push. The colonial master has not even pretended to want to investigate. Why? Because they are overwhelmed back home. What happened in Bambili, the death of those people, is insignificant when put in the context of what they face as mounting insecurity in their own country. And so if you happen to be there, if you are a soldier, if you are any of them, civil servants, soldiers, gendarmes, and so on, you find themselves in Ambazonia, you are there at your own risk. Is there any security for yourself? You are the guarantor of your own life. You are the first line of security for yourself. And so we prefer to fall without any remarks even from your own commanders when they themselves are fleeing. Or you prefer to lay down your arms and walk away and save what you still have. At least meet your own family. Even if you have no job, you can at least be sure that you are alive. And so this is the final push. That's my own understanding. And then, again, in the context of what is going on in Yaoundé, I guess, I'm just guessing, the hands are too full to occupy themselves with little Ambazonia. The little Ambazonia, which is just a 2 cubes of sugar, they have refused to merge. Now they have a mountain of sugar in Yaoundé to bring it down to merge. Not even to merge in hot water. They want their own to merge in the freezing winter. And so I can only say congratulations to those guys, those ASA, who did what they did to put those ones out of action. If those guys had moved away by themselves, I've said it here, there's no hot pursuit. They would have simply walked away. But they choose to stay, and they paid the price with their own lives. Does that mean anything to Yaoundé? No. But does it mean something to the family? I guess. I hope they were married. If they were not married, they still have their parents. They have a family to take care of. This is the final push. The warning is, if you are in Ambazonia, public occupation force, look for your way out. Exit by yourself, and you save your own life. Don't wait for a dead, non-living government in Yaoundé. Because in Yaoundé, there's nobody even to give the command. There's nobody, in general, in all the countries, the head of state is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Who are you going to turn to if you're fighting there in Ambazonia? Are you turning to Mr. Biya, the defected and defeated president? Or you are turning to Mr. President Chiroma? We don't know. There's nothing there for you to rely on. Don't look back. There's nobody helping you. The country is on a downward spree. Everybody is running away for their own safety. I'm sure ministers and higher officials are hiding. Why will you, the ordinary guy, the sang-along, the caller, come die in the BLM, come die in Bamenda, in Du, in Kambe, in Akwaya, or anywhere else in Amazonia? We advise, again, save your own life, save your family, walk away. That's the final push we have announced. It is just starting, it will continue. What do you?
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. In another report here tonight, Fabrice, Lena, a leading opposition figure and campaign manager for the presidential candidate Atike Seke casting in the October 12th election, has spoken out from detention, denouncing his arrest as arbitrary and politically motivated. His statement comes amidst an escalating post-election clampdown in French Cameroon that has drawn criticisms from rights groups and the international community. In a press release shared by his legal team, Lena insisted that no incriminating evidence has been presented against him and described the challenges as false and unfounded. He claims his detention is a deliberate attempt by President Paul Biya's regime to silence dissent and crush any challenge to its continued hold on power. Lena's arrest follows a wave of detentions targeting opposition figures, including Anisit Ekane of Manedem, Dikam Chamani of the Union for Change, and Professor Abba Oyono, whose disappearance has raised alarm amongst human rights monitors. Analysts say the arrest marks the latest phase in Yaoundé's long pattern of using judicial and security tools to neutralize political rivals. Despite the pressure, Lena remains defiant, thanking his supporters and vowing that the truth will prevail. His words echoes growing frustration within Cameroon civil society, where calls for transparency, reforms, and international accountability are growing louder as the Biya's regime faces mounting scrutiny from both domestic and foreign observers. Barrister Mbesha, while the inauguration is going on, people are still crying for what they will never see a change on. Do you believe that all of these cries, there will be a change someday?
Well, I've said it before, there will be a change. But what is interesting to me, what embarrasses me and is funny, is that Fabrice will say that he was a presidential candidate. Then he will say they arrested him, they locked him up. And then no incriminating evidence was found on him. It means he does not just understand the history of his own country. Fabrice, like his other colleagues who ran against Paul Biya, they are criminals by the standard of Yaoundé. If you challenge the status quo, they arrest you and lock you up. He did not need any other further evidence other than that he was a presidential candidate to fight against the incumbent. That's the track history of Yaoundé. Whoever challenges the status quo is arrested, detained, or even killed. So they have criminalized running, contesting with the incumbent. That's what is on a crime. Why is his name featured to be there? It means that he went out somewhere and tried to criticize the president and tried to think that he could replace him. That's a crime. The Easter within that's why I said they don't know their own history. Who has ever challenged the president of Cameroon, most importantly, Paul Biya, and gone free? just talking. Nifurundi tried it in 1992 and he was detained, was arrested. He committed no crime. He remained in his house unlocked for so many months. Just before now, 2018, Kamto contested the election with Mr. Paul Biya, an official candidate for the elections. What happened to him? He was arrested and detained for 9 months for daring to challenge the status quo. So it is not new. Over there, trying to challenge the status quo, that is Mr. Paul Biya, is a crime. So young Lena should have understood, like most of them who are locked up, Anissa Ekane and the rest, should have known by now that whoever there raises a finger against the status quo is a criminal by the definition of the only. And so that is the system they have. What should you have asking where there will be change? There will be change. But the problem they face in Cameroon, like anywhere else in the world, is thinking that you can defeat a dictator on the ballot box. Dictatorship is rule by arms, rule by violence. That's what they call it, dictatorship. You don't expect to go and defeat a dictator on the ballot box because the dictator does not recognize what you call a ballot box. He recognizes the rule of force. They force you. If you don't do what they want, they lock you up. If you resist the locking up, they kill you. And there are thousands of them in Cameroon there who have perished in that way, just for daring to stand up against the status quo. So many people said, I think I buy with him, that they are not going to change Cameroon through the ballot box. Because the ballot box, the government, whoever is in power, has the tools to neutralize you, to prevent you from going to the ballot place. They have the tools to make what you call a ballot box not even function, by refusing to give you an identity card, by refusing even to put your name on the electoral register. They have all these tools. And if you come out to say, look, I didn't find my name here on the electoral, they will catch you. Or you become the criminal. What just happened to Kamto during this election cycle? Should have put a warning on these people. The poor Lena should have known. Because he was not a candidate because they wanted him to defeat Paul Biya. No. He was a candidate because they wanted to showcase him as a tool to use for democracy in their own way. And once the others kept quiet, he was making noise, I think. They took him away and locked him up to silence him once and for all. So he should just look around among himself. Where's the Cabral DB? He's free because he's part of them. Where's Joshua Osi? They are all candidates. They're all quiet. And so, will there be an end to that? Of course, there will be an end to it. When? I don't know, but I think very soon. Because no dictatorship lasts forever anywhere in the world. Cameroon is a small dot on the map of the world. In terms of dictatorships that have come and failed, Cameroon is just not after a comma, it's not even a dot. And so there will come a time, and the time is coming, if it is not yet now, that the dictatorship will go away by some type of violence, some type of uprising, or naturally. Because if they don't overthrow Paul Biya and they speed them physically, if they don't overthrow them by driving them away, they will naturally overthrow them through death. I just mentioned what happened in the BLM with CPDM people there. Paul Biya, like it or not, is going to die. He's not going to get to 100 years old. He will die in this so-called mandate of 7 years. That is naturally taking him away from the scene, if God is kind to them. But otherwise, they have the other tool to force him out by their own actions. You know what to do. They're already doing it. And that's why Lena is saying that, well, he will persist to do what he's doing. We can all pray for him. We can pray for them, those of them who are standing up. And again, remind them, no dictator is defeated with peace. They are dictated. In fact, violence begets violence. That's a common principle. If they kill one opposition people, the opposition people should take also 2 of them down. That's just simple. An eye for an eye. So it's put in the Bible, the Roman law, the Solomon's law, an eye for an eye. And so they will be changed, I think, just because, as I've just said, there is no dictatorship that's ever lasted forever. And even what we say in common English, no condition is permanent. Cameroon dictatorship is not going to be permanent. No, it has been long in doing 43 years. It's even too long. I don't imagine myself, I don't know many, but I don't imagine any dictatorship that lasted for 50 years. Lasts for 20, 30 years and they go. If Yaoundé is up to 43 years, they are long due being thrown out by the government, by the people, or being taken out by God. Either way, they will go away. And so, young Fabrice, who looks very young, we hope you will live to see the end of it. You will live to see freedom one day when these people are pushed out naturally, or they are dead, taken away by the God, the Almighty Lord. That's body suffering on the people. But again, we ask the question, what have Cameroonians done to merit this type of punishment from God? I don't know. But I think I suggest the answer is they're having this type of punishment from the Almighty God to punish them collectively, like the people, to punish them for their sins against Ambazonia. They have killed Ambazonians without regret. They have maimed us without excuse. They have punished, killed, raped our wives, killed our children, burnt our homes without remorse. So if God is punishing them with the 43-year dictatorship, is that too much? No, it's too much. It's not too much. They should bear some of the pain and know where we are coming from. Know what we have gone through. The Ngalabu people did nothing. And everybody, there are so many. Mama happy. They did nothing for their necks to be cut off. They just said, we disagree with what the government is doing. And they did all these things. Our neighbors who are now feeling the pain said nothing. For them, that was nothing. So to my mind, I don't know why I'm right, but I hope I'm right, that they have gone through this. This is part of their own punishment for closing their eyes to what Ambazonia has gone through. But again, enough is enough. Having borne their own punishment, they should seek freedom. And then say to Ambazonians, thank you for starting the thing. You have borne too much. If we can get ourselves out of poor Biya for 43 years, you, Ambazonians, should take yourself out of this nonsense for 63 years. 43 and 23 is too much. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. And moving on, Barrister Mbesha, we have this report that says that prominent Douala-based activist Andre Blaise Esama has issued a powerful condemnation of the French Cameroon's government's violent crackdown on post-election protesters, which has left several civilians dead and dozens injured. In a passionate address, Esama denounced what he described as a regime built on the blood of innocent people, declaring that any planned inauguration of Paul Biya following the disputed October 2025 election would be illegitimate and morally bankrupt. His remarks echoes growing public anger and deepening mistrust of the government's handling of post-election unrest. Esama accused the Biya administration of valuing power over human life, saying the state's violent suppression of dissent has crossed severe clinical line. Witnesses and local rights organizations report that protests in Douala, Boya, and Yaoundé have been met with live ammunition, arbitrary arrest, and intimidation by security forces, a response that many observers call grossly disproportionate. Esama's statement has galvanized a wider movement of activists and civil society voices demanding accountability, transparency, and justice. His declaration underscores the fragile state of governance in French Cameroon, where questions of legitimacy and moral authorities are now front and center as the nation teeters between repression and reform. Bryce Mbesha, But before we get to you to talk about this particular issue, the inauguration has already happened, and from our reports here, we gathered that there were so many dramas. And so in Yaoundé today, Paul Biya was sworn in for yet another presidential term, an event many within and beyond French Cameroon have tagged an illegitimate inauguration. What many meant to mark continuity of power instead unfolded as a day of visible decline, outrage, and defiance. Eyewitnesses' accounts describe that the 93-year-old President Biya appearing was not so organized during the ceremony, repeatedly asking aides, "What should I do? Should I stand up?" A moment has gone viral across social media, reinforcing widespread doubt about the capacity to lead, that's for the president to lead. Let's get that video.
Mettez-vous debout, monsieur le Président. Maintenant, oui, maintenant. Je dois me lever. Oui, monsieur le Président. Mettez-vous debout. C'est ce qu'il a dit. Parce qu'il va lire le serment en train de lire.
Monsieur le Président de la République.
Oh, well, the supposed president of the French Cameroun was notably absent, unable to even work without assistance, further deepening the political uncertainty surrounding secession in French Cameroun. Meanwhile, chaos erupted outside the official celebration as locals who were reportedly promised 3,000 francs CFA each to wear the CPDM cabas and clap during the event confronted the colonial mayor after allegedly not being paid. A scene that quickly turned into shouting and scuffles captured on camera. Let's see that briefly. Well, in a stark contrast, in Adamawa, neglected and angry youth flooded the streets demanding that Issa Chiroma Bakare's vote be restored, chanting his name as a symbol of resistance. Let's get that as well. Elsewhere, the home of the mayor of Mayo Balo, accused of ballot box stuffing, was reportedly set ablaze, underscoring how rapidly tensions are escalating. Meanwhile, political analysts describe the situation as a constitutional coup d'etat in real time, with a fading ruler clinging to power amid crumbling legitimacy and spreading dissent. For many citizens, today's spectacle has confirmed their deepest fears that French Cameroon is being ruled not by consent, but by coercion. As the dust settles on day one of Biya's renewed rule, one question echoes across the nation: if this is how the first day begins with so much chaos, what do the days ahead promise to bring? Right, Mbesha. Oh, foul play, inauguration has happened. Oh, he's not a strong person. He does not work. He does not contribute to what's happening. He's unaware of what's happening in his environment. the inauguration has happened. So there is a precedent for the French Cameroonians for the next 7 years. You saw this.
Well, I think
yeah, go ahead.
I saw the report. The issue is not that inauguration has taken place. The issue is that the whole thing, inauguration is the last stage. The whole thing from the beginning, registration of voters, election campaign, to so-called voting, was all staged. There were no elections there because the result was known well in advance. They knew the candidate that would win. The Lena that you just mentioned his name before, they were never supposed to be there. They were created to pretend to be candidates in elections. And so this is a country that lives in its own universe, completely different universe. Under very normal circumstances, more than 4 or 5 years ago, there was evidence well documented and put out there that Mr. Paul Biya, the president of Cameroon, nobody was contesting his power at that time, was in a state of dementia. He attended a meeting in Washington, D.C., like many other heads of states. I didn't even know where he was. What has just been done today was repeated in Washington, D.C., where he asked himself, he asked whoever was talking to him, are there people in the hall? Because he was supposed to make an address. He didn't know where he was. That is natural dementia, they call it. And fast forward today, find him talking at the background. Should I stand up? He doesn't even know that he's going to read an inaugural address for himself, for his new mandate. It is all staged. You hear him talking there. Is there anybody there? Should I stand? And then you find him being treated like a goat to go and stand somewhere else. That is well programmed. That is that is so different in the world. And so what are they doing in Cameroon? They are staging everything. Is that normal? Is that what is done anywhere else in the world? No. I think this is the first I've known in my own life, in history. These are political criminals. These people who are staging all these things. They are political criminals. Because there's some facts you cannot hide. Nobody can pretend to hide the fact that Paul Biya is a sick man. The last 10, 15 years, he has spent all his time in Switzerland, officially to be in a hospital, officially for medical treatment. Why must he take another time on his dying bed? Because at 93, which I'm sure is even more than 93, he's already on his dying bed. Why suffer this guy on another term? It is all staged. Paul Biya was not inaugurated today. If there was any inauguration, it is somebody else who was being inaugurated behind the scene. Be it Chantal Biya, Ngongo, I don't know, but somebody else was being inaugurated, not Paul Biya. It's not Paul Biya who was being inaugurated. Because he can barely understand. He can't even know whether he should stand up or sit down during his own inauguration. And so this is sham. These are people who are shameless criminals. These are people, I don't know what protects them. If their laws protect them, the wrath of the people cannot protect them. And then you fast forward and go up to the north and see what happened in Garoua. I don't know. Where is the Tanganji? Where are the gendarmes and the police and all what and the B? Why are they not arresting those people in the streets in Garoua? They are vowed and sworn that anybody who raises an opposition will go to jail. And of course, the two Lena, you have just brought us there earlier, and jail him. Why are they not arresting those people in Garoua? And those in Douala, Bafang, Bafoussam, and other towns across the country? They are overwhelmed. There is nothing they can do. I'm sure, deep in their minds, as they go to bed this night, if each of them, if someone among them has not worked out his own escape route, then that should be a very stupid man. Because the end is near. You don't know at what hour it will strike, but the end is near. It's probably not going to succeed. The chances are that 90% they will not succeed. The chances are that 99% Even if they attempt to succeed, Paul Biya cannot serve a full 7 years. Officially, that would take him to 100 years old. But officially, Paul Biya is older than 93 years old. When he was born, somewhere in the bush in Vomaka, there was nobody to register his birth. If you see his birth certificate, he will probably be shown there, born about 1934. Nobody knows when he was born. And so that is the stage where they find themselves. The things are unfolding. It is difficult for you to control a flowing river with your empty hands because the river will take you away. It is almost impossible for them to control the scenario that is going on now. And the indicators that show you that the thing is not going well. All over the world, when you come to inaugurate a new president or renew a mandate, it is something for celebration. It's something for diplomatic assembly. You see people from foreign countries coming to give you, oh, happy birthday, happy new mandate. Here it has not been like that. Those are signs, bitter signs that the end is near. And it is who cannot read the history, who cannot read the science politically, who cannot read the science naturally that this guy will die. There must be something wrong with you. Not with the world, not with the system that operates everywhere else. If you don't see Paul Biya as a dead man, something is wrong with you. If you don't see the CPDM, in spite of all their manipulations, that they are pure, shameless criminals, something else is wrong with you. It is not wrong with the CPDM, it is wrong with you. And so that is what they have. We only wish them the best. We've always said here, at least me, come October 12th, we're going to have somebody sitting here one day to face Ambazonians. We hope to be lucky to have somebody to sit there. But based on what happened in Bambili, we might not even have time to sit down to negotiate with them. If the final push causes all of them to walk away, we will need no more negotiations at this stage. We will lick our wounds and stay. We will rebuild what they have destroyed, and we'll move on. But if they don't move away under this final push, which we just analyzed, let them be prepared to meet Ambazonians with their dead or living president, with their dead or living CPDM. Whatever institutions they have there, they will face the might of Ambazonians. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. And at this point, we'll let you go a bit while we continue to gather information concerning the inauguration of today. Hopefully by Saturday, we'll be able to put them all together and would have an amazing day here on this week on Ambazonia. Until then, it's good night for you, Barrister Mbesha, as we take this short break, because when we return, we'll head into South Africa, where 17 South Africans are trapped in Ukraine war after falling victim to fake job scam. 17 South African men are stranded in the war-torn Donbas region of Ukraine after being deceived into joining mercenary groups on the false job promise. The government confirmed that the men aged between 20 and 39 were recruited with offers of well-paid employment abroad, but ended up involved in the ongoing war. Their situation has prompted President Cyril Ramaphosa to order a full investigation into how they were lured into such activities and to determine who was responsible for their recruitment. Most of the stranded individuals, 16 from KwaZulu-Natal and 1 from Eastern Cape, have appealed for government assistance to return home. Authorities are using diplomatic and consular channels to establish contact and facilitate their repatriation. It remains unclear which side of the Russia-Ukraine conflict the men were fighting for, but their involvement contravenes South African law, which prohibits citizens from serving in foreign military forces without government approval. Officials say the case reflects a growing pattern of illegal recruitment kit schemes that exploits the desperation of unemployed youth, with South Africa's job rate standing at more than 30%. Many young people have become vulnerable to fraudulent offers promising security or industrial work overseas. These deceptive opportunities often lead victims into dangerous or illegal situations, including forced labor or participation in armed conflict. The government has expressed concern about government recruitment networks that target Africans across the continent. Similar incidents have been reported in Kenya and Nigeria, where young people have also been deceived into working in conflict zones. South Africa recently warned citizens, particularly young women, about fake online jobs offers in Russia after reports of victims being trafficked or stranded abroad. Analysts link these cases to the remnants of Russia's Wagner paramilitary network, which has reportedly shifted to covert operations after its official dissolution. Investigations by international media have shown that Russian-linked recruiters have continued to lure Africans into roles that appear legitimate but lead to frontline duties in Ukraine. This trend has raised global concern over the use of African recruits in foreign wars. Pretoria has vowed to intensify public awareness campaigns about the dangers of unverified overseas employment and to hold those behind the recruitment accountable. The government says its immediate focus is on securing the safe return of the 17 men, while also addressing the broader issue of how economic hardship leaves South Africans vulnerable to exploitations abroad. The incident underscores the urgent need for stronger regulation and public education to prevent similar tragedies in the future. When we return right after the break, we would head into the office of the President of the United States of America, where he has said to skip the G20 summit in South Africa, citing concern over country status. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that he will not attend the upcoming G20 summit scheduled to take place in Johannesburg, South Africa on November 22nd to 23rd. The president stated that South Africa no longer deserves its place amongst the world's major economies, signaling a sharp diplomatic rebuke towards the host nation. The White House confirmed that Vice President J.D. Vance will represent the United States at the meeting, marking the first time in several years that an American president will skip the high-profile global forum. Trump's remarks, delivered during the American Business Forum in Miami, underscored growing tension between Washington and Pretoria. U.S. officials have expressed concerns about South Africa's recent economic policies and its governance, the challenges and its foreign policy alignment with non-Western powers. The Johannesburg Summit, the first G20 gathering ever held on South African soil, was expected to highlight issues of global economic reform, sustainable development, and inclusive growth. Trump's absence introduces new uncertainty into the meeting's dynamics and raises questions about future U.S. engagement with multilateral economic institutions. South Africa assumed the G20 presidency in December 2024. And has pledged to use its leadership to strengthen cooperation between developed and developing economies. Despite the U.S. decision to downgrade its participation, preparation for the summit continues, with world leaders from across the globe expected to attend. The United States is set to take over the G20 presidency from South Africa in December 2025, with Miami proposed as a host city for the following year's summits. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. Bring it to the news on George stories. But before we go, let's take a look at the stories that made it to the headlines. Tonight on Undaunted, we told you that Fontem-Bakeba Road approve of the neglect of the development of Ambazonians by the Paul Biya's government. We told you tonight that 4 French Cameroon armies are reportedly killed in Ambazonia State Armies ambush in Bambili. Also tonight, Fabrice Lena condemns politically motivated detention amidst crackdown in the French Cameroon's post-election crisis. Also, Andre Blaise has condemned French Cameroon's government violence amidst protests on Thursday today. Drama unfolded at Paul Biya's inauguration today, where chaos, outrage, and protests were met across the French Cameroon. On the African scene, we told you that 17 South Africans are trapped in Ukraine war after falling victim to fake job scam. Meanwhile, on the global scene, Trump is to skip G20 summit in South Africa, citing concerns over country's status. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. On behalf of Barrister Mbesha and the team of technicians behind tonight's production, it's good night and God bless.